Oh my God, your hair is so gorgeous.
Oh, thank your hair. You're world famous for your hair.
No, but I mean, when I see your hair, I'm like, oh, I want to cut my hair off. I won't, but I want to.
It's in your contract, you can't?
No. No.
Bonjour, nous avons profité de la venue à Cannes Série de Connie Britton, qu'on a vu et adoré dans Friday Night Lights, American Horror Story et plus récemment de White Lotus. C'est dans Story Series et c'est tout de suite.
Hey, girls.
Good things happen to good people.
That's right. Yes. Oh, motherfucker.
You're kidding.
Ooh.
Hi, Connie Britton.
Hi.
I'm so nice to meet you.
I'm so happy to meet you,
I'm
too.
so impressed.
Oh.
I'm gonna stutter because I'm so impressed.
Oh, you're impressed?
Yeah. You've been doing TV before TV was cool.
Wait.
It's been 25 years.
I know, it's so crazy.
You're a beloved actor for TV fans.
I can't believe
Spin
it.
City,
Oh, Spin
American
City.
Horror Story, The West Wing,
Ay, ay, ay.
24, Nashville,
Look at you.
Dirty John,
You're so good.
Friday Night Lights,
Eh.
The White Lotus. You've seen the industry change, I imagine,
Yeah.
since the 90s. How has it changed for you as an actor?
It's changed so much. I grew up watching TV. So I grew up watching sitcoms. I grew up watching, hour network shows. And those were my inspirations. And, so then when I got into television, even when I started, it still felt a little bit like women were the supporting roles. You have like one woman for every 7 men in a show. The female roles generally were not that well fleshed out. So I kind of came up realizing okay, it was my little game, to make it interesting for me. I'm gonna just try to humanize this person as much as I can. Even though it's not there, it's not in the script. And then Friday Night Lights came along.
All right, listen to this, y'all. Large, bright family home, nestled on a quiet cul-de-sac, 3 large bedrooms, a pool, and his and her closets. His and her closets.
Relent.
I'm just saying.
I know what you're saying.
It's a show about football. It's completely male-dominated. I'd already done the movie where I spoke 2 words in the whole movie. But I was very committed, more than ever, in that one, to really dig deep and to give that woman a voice and her power and all of those things. And thankfully, I was surrounded by people who had that same vision. And we shared that vision, and it was a collaboration, and we were really able to let those female characters on that show come to life. And I think that happened at the same time that there were a lot of other really strong female characters coming out.
In the 2000s, they were Eddie Falco, Sopranos.
Yeah, Sopranos,
They were
Mad Men.
supportive roles,
Yeah.
important ones, but still the heroes' wives.
Yes.
Eddie Falco, Sopranos, Anna Gunn, Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad.
You too, Tammy, Coach Taylor's wife on Friday Night Lights.
Right.
And did you have to fight to make her a more prominent character at the time?
I did. I fought in my nice lady way. But I did. To some degree, I felt like I needed to do that for myself, but I also needed to do it for women out there. And in fairness, I had articulated that to Pete Berg, who created the show. And he said to me, this is our chance to give these women a voice. But people say a lot of things to get you to do something. But he stuck to that show to really articulate what we felt the voice of our character was. And so there was a lot of conversation about that. The writers wanted to hear it. They respected our points of view on that. For instance, Jason Katims came into the show, and it was his idea to have Tammy become a high school a counselor at the high school, which, by the way, Pete Berg thought was a terrible idea. So, you know, here you go. The creator of the show didn't think it was a good idea, but we did it anyway, and thank God, because it immediately put her into the center of all those stories. So I felt like I had really good collaborators.
More recently, you've played, I was going to say, not villains as such, but very unlikable, rich white women.
Yep.
I'm thinking about Ali on Smilf. I love Smilf. I love it.
I love Smilf.
And Nicole on The White Lotus.
All right, I'm gonna start my Zoom. And you guys, if you're gonna stay in here, you have to be totally silent. Okay? And stay out of the frame.
Mom, you look deranged.
It's all right, I have a filter for that. Oh, fuck.
What attracts you to these roles? Is it the satire, the way you, as you said before, make them exist, be there and flesh them out?
Well, here's the thing. I feel really fortunate that I was able to play characters like Tammy on Friday Night Lights or like Raina on Nashville or, you know, American Horror Story. But as the culture shifts and asks different questions, that brings up different questions for me in terms of the characters that I play. And I have become very interested in these women who are living with a certain blindness to their own entitlement and to their own privilege. And I really want to understand them.
Actually, I wanted to ask you if you might be able to check the Birkin waiting list, because I've been on it for a while, and I have a couple of friends who have recently gotten Birkin, so I thought, maybe I'm next on my birthday.
Oh, so sad. The one we just got in has already been claimed.
I'm sorry, when did you get it?
Today.
You got one today, and you didn't fucking call me? I was literally in here last week. Oh, after all the shit that I buy at this store? What the fuck? What the actual fuck?
You know, whether even women who are like that can see themselves and understand it, I don't know. But, you know, there are a lot of women out there who take a very different perspective on their privilege and their entitlement that I do. And I want to understand where that comes from, because this is a cultural phenomenon. So I got to explore that. I need to understand that better and humanize them and find where actually we are more similar than we might realize.
You know, I don't think you appreciate how tough things are for kids like Quinn right now.
Why? Because of the Asperger's?
He doesn't have Asperger's, Olivia. But he is a straight, white, young man, and nobody has any sympathy for them right now. And I just feel like we should. Yeah, in a way, they're the underdogs now.
I do think that social satire is important, and I think that White Lotus came along at a time where we'd done a lot. We all societally, culturally, had done a lot of soul searching, you know, across gender lines, across racial lines, and you know, we are in this horrendous pandemic. There's been a lot of suffering, and in the midst of that suffering, we've had to really look hard at ourselves, really hard. And so to be able to do that in a way that actually feels, it's a little heightened, so it doesn't have to feel like, that's me, I know, I'm a terrible person, I know, I'm awful, I'm awful. We can have a sense of humor, we can actually laugh and feel entertained, and it feels a little over there, but we can have the conversation. And I think we needed it.
Thank you so much, Connie Britton. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Your power is your independence. Don't give up your power.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for talking to me.
Women have a lot to navigate, and I just think it's really important to support women when I can.
That's awesome.
Oh, honey, I'm home.
Hey, kid. Let the wine begin.
Je suis Cédric Menon, journaliste et les CAPSAT Hebdo.
Je suis Férouzah Msilti, je dirige le média en ligne Les Écrans Terribles.
Just do what you usually do. Pretend I'm not here.
And Just Like That, c'est la suite de Sex and the City qu'on a connue il y a 17 ans.
On retrouve Carrie, Miranda et Charlotte, quinquagénaires, à New York.
Et elles essayent de rattraper leur vie, leurs émotions, leurs envies, et surtout de savoir quelle est leur place dans l'époque d'aujourd'hui.
I cannot believe it. Oh, it's been forever. Do we hug or bump elbows? Sign language, smoke signals? Where are we these days? And where's the fourth musketeer? Where's Samantha?
Est-ce qu'on avait vraiment envie de les revoir toutes les quatre? J'ai envie de dire non. De les revoir tous les trois, certainement pas. Et de les revoir sans Sam, encore moins. Après, dans le deuxième épisode, on n'a même plus un autre pilier de la série. Donc dans le troisième, qu'est-ce qui reste? Rien, c'est un vide sidéral.
Je suis d'accord avec toi que Sam manque complètement, parce qu'on se rend bien compte en plus que Carrie est hyper conventionnelle, mine de rien. Après, le vide, je sais pas, parce que c'est vrai que des séries sur des femmes quinquagénaires qui parlent de leur vie intime au sens large, en vrai, il y en a pas beaucoup. Ça permet de les voir évoluer, et c'est pas inintéressant.
I thought, are Steve and I even a couple anymore? I mean, no sex. For years.
Still, for years?
Years. And I don't think either one of us even thinks about it. The only thing that we're passionate about is our dessert ritual. Are we a couple? Or just roommates with ice cream and a kid?
La série ne tient que sur son passé, que sur ce qu'elle a été. Et on n'exploite que ça et on propose pas quelque chose de nouveau. C'est le problème aujourd'hui avec tous les reboots, que ce soit dans les films ou dans les séries. Il y a un manque d'audace, il y a un manque d'originalité.
Voir des femmes se poser certaines questions à la moitié de leur vie sur leur épanouissement.
I am not pretending to be any age. I am 55.
What, you want a medal?
Yes. Yes, I do. Can I get a medal?
De les voir courir après les mises à jour de l'époque et d'être un peu en décalage alors qu'elles ont représenté les tendances à un moment, moi je trouve que c'est quand même intéressant en soi.
Representing the cisgender women is Carrie Bradshaw.
Hey, hey.
Hey, Miss Cis. And representing the cishet men is the dude himself, Jackie Nee.
What up, sister? Brother.
That's right, because I'm both and neither. I am Che Diaz, your host and queer, non-binary, Mexican-Irish diva, representing everyone else outside these two boring genders.
Woke moment!
And yes.
Ramener la diversité, c'est un problème général, puisque surtout quand on reprend une série comme ça, qui à la base était très uniforme dans un New York qui en vérité l'a jamais été, donc il y avait un vrai aveuglement en fait de départ, et ils essayent de rattraper la donne.
Pour moi, c'est assez symptomatique de l'époque dans laquelle on vit, c'est-à-dire qu'on essaye de ranger dans des cases, on essaye de mettre de la diversité dans cette série. De façon complètement artificielle, c'est-à-dire que ces personnages-là ne sont pas travaillés, ils sont juste là pour cocher des cases.
Cet aspect-là précautionneux, il est intéressant parce que ça correspond vraiment à une période aussi où les gens sont frileux, où les gens marchent sur des œufs sur ces sujets-là, et ça me paraît pas complètement à côté de la plaque.
My comment had nothing whatsoever to do with it being a black hairstyle. I knew that you were black when I signed up for this class. That was important to me.
You signed up for this class because I'm black?
And Just Like That, c'est une série attachante.
Et And Just Like That, c'est une série juste chiante.
Great.
Est-ce que vous avez une série Madeleine de Proust?
Moi, j'ai Papa Poule.
Oh, mais moi aussi!
J'adorerais cette série.
Voilà, c'est drôle,
J'adorerais cette série.
Mais c'était un père célibataire qui élevait seul ses enfants. Il y en a 4, je crois.
Elles sont
5, elles sont 5, 4 filles.
Dans leur maison et ils ouvrent les fenêtres.
C'était génial. Et tu te souviens pas de la série Sam et Sally?
Bah évidemment.
Oh, Sam et Sally, mais c'était génial. C'était un duo qui faisait des enquêtes. Et elle était hyper belle, elle avait toujours des bottes là, elle avait des longs cheveux comme ça.
Remington Steele.
Ah, Remington Steele.
À la semaine prochaine pour encore plus de séries. Bye.